Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Evening Show right here on Smash FM here on a Wednesday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's go across to our friends over in the US again and, of course, talk a bit about music, especially in Los Angeles, California. And, of course, we've got a very special guest on the show right now. Of course, tell us a bit about her music journey so far. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, also, I'll get you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your music years so far, obviously, with what's been going on.
Yeah, so I'm Artemis Orion, and right now I'm kind of a genre fluid artist. At the moment, I'm currently doing a lot of lo-fi hip hop and bedroom pop and venturing out into synthwave and EDM and things like that. Honestly, my musical journey probably started when I was 7 because that's when I wrote my first song. And it's just kind of been a prolonged journey from there, from learning how to play instruments when I was 12, and then joining choir when I became a teenager, and then doing theater and kind of developing myself as my own artist. I actually started out as more of a singer-songwriter, and then I did indie folk for a bit, and then took it into my own hands to learn how to produce. And that's when I started getting more into EDM, like in 2015. And now it's just kind of everything that I've done since I was 7 is like what I do now. Last year and this year was definitely when I started shaping the persona of Artemis Orion and exactly how I wanted to define myself as an artist. So it's a lot of empowerment through yourself. Like, I feel like that's what the name symbolizes. It's kind of like a yin and yang sort of thing, like the light and the dark. And everyone goes through their own form of that in their life with hard times, and then that shaping you into the person who you are, or just like, being shaped through your experiences. For this year, it's been interesting because quarantine, a pandemic, and everything that's going on in the United States, it's actually, even though they're like terrible things that are happening right now, and it just kind of opens everyone's eyes thinking like anything could happen at any moment. It's definitely a period where anyone can just kind of take a step back from everyday life and just kind of evaluate like where you are in life. Are you happy? Are you healthy? What things could you work on yourself, especially with quarantining when you're kind of like on your own. And so that was kind of how it kind of helped me shape who I am as an artist. I have a day job, and when pandemic hit, I was laid off, so I was at home for 3 months. I was actually sick at the beginning. So I was at home for 3 months, and during that time, I got to just work on music like nonstop, full time, and work on producing and kind of focus more on writing. And I feel like my writing stems between kind of catchy pop lyrics to very metaphorical, like folky, like thought-provoking lyrics, things that make you think, I guess, because I also love literature, and I kind of pull inspiration from that too. And so during quarantine, I just had all that time to reflect on it, and then just being inspired with what's going on with the world too really inspired my songwriting. And honestly, like at the end of it, I was really inspired at the beginning, and then maybe 2.5 months in, I started feeling kind of dry from inspiration because I get a lot from just living. Like I'll go out to the beach and write like a song because I get inspired by that. And yeah, I was just kind of lacking that towards the end of it, and got back, like I'm slowly getting back into normal life. I started working again. But now that all of the things that are happening now with all of the rallying, the riots, the, you know, the problem that we're facing in America, it's inspiring me in a different way, where a lot of my music was based on the foundation of like how I'm feeling, or like how a single person is feeling. Whereas now I feel like I want to write something that inspires not only just one person and them internally, but a mass of people. And I feel like that's what the world kind of needs right now too, like after the pandemic and all of the protests, is something positive, something inspiring. So I trying to think like what songs. I feel like from that now I have a couple of songs that are a little political, not really super political because I'm only 23. And even though like some people who are my age are like super into politics, I feel like I'm kind of a late bloomer with that. But I have like some songs that kind of split both ways, where you can take it as something you relate to yourself, a single person, or something going on in the world, like with our government and our people. And I like songwriting like that, to where it's kind of how you perceive it, how you take it, and what you're experiencing. So I feel like the protests are kind of inspiring me in that way, and kind of venturing out of my comfort zone and becoming a little more, I don't know, political.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. And that's like the ultimate goal of what I want to do as an artist. I want to be there for people. I want to connect. I want people to know that they're not alone. I want to inspire people, because that's just kind of what we do. Like, that's why we live. We get inspired by something and we find our purpose in what we want to do in life. And music ultimately does that for everyone, whether you like don't listen to music a lot or if you just listen to it 24/7. So yeah.
Now, obviously, you know, I'm sure you would love to be out there performing in front of your amazing fans in person, but obviously with the restrictions and what's been happening over there in the States at the moment. Do you miss that?
I do. I want to say I'm kind of a growing artist. I've seen the most growth this past year. I was only local. I was actually in Nashville before Los Angeles because I was in college. And I would just perform like open mic nights, and I would gain like connections, like get to know people who come up and tell me that they connected with a song of mine. And that's honestly what I live for. Like, when someone comes up to you and tells you that your song, your lyrics, whatever it was that you performed, when they tell you that it connected with them, that's like the ultimate goal being an artist. So I really miss that a lot, because it kind of gives me an insight of like individual lives and things that people might deal with that I've never dealt with before, and I can physically be there for them. And it's not just, a song that they hear. Like, now finally the support's kind of two-sided. Eventually a big goal of mine is to tour, so just constantly like performing live and connecting with listeners. And obviously can't do that right now, especially with I don't know, like I said, I had the most growth during quarantine, which is, I think it's crazy, because I didn't think that I would be able to reach an international audience by not touring. So, but I guess anything's possible because it's the age of the internet,
Yeah.
You don't know where that stuff goes. But yeah, like I miss it. I don't want anything more than just being there physically with people, like being up on a stage and connecting with them, or, that'd be just amazing. And who knows when it's going to happen. maybe next year. So hopefully.
Now, obviously, most music artists have done is do live streaming on social media. Have you done that yourself?
I haven't done a live stream yet. I've only posted a cover video and then some audios of me singing some songs I had just written. I haven't done a live stream because I feel like if I do a live stream, I want to do like a live set, kind of like an actual like performance, but I haven't practiced it in so long, and I'm like, I'll just wait. But I think it's really cool how artists do live streams, because that's like the closest thing we can do to a concert right now, and connecting. But I try to hop on to like my artist friends live streams and just like support them. I love it. But I think it's really cool that we can all still find a way to connect even when we can't physically be around other people. So
Now, obviously, you mentioned that obviously you're from Nashville, and then obviously you've moved to LA. Obviously, both cities are famous for its music in two different genres. I guess, what have you learned from living in the music city before going to LA?
What have I learned? Well, that is where I started learning how to really produce. I produced a little bit in high school, but it wasn't really serious. And then Nashville, it was just kind of when I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to do it because I want to be able to put what I envision like on a computer like myself. I think the main goal of what I wanted to learn in Nashville was just kind of getting past my own head. I am naturally a very shy and reserved person. And so I just kind of pushed myself to get out there, like go to more open mics and go to more like writers' rounds, because that's something that's very prevalent around Nashville. It's a lot of songwriters. And so I just tried to do that, just performing acoustic songs. Another thing I learned was collaborating. I had never collaborated with other artists until I went to Nashville. And at first it was kind of scary because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to explain like the idea that I had in my head to someone else. Like I was afraid maybe they won't understand the concept, or maybe I'm not communicating very well because I'm not like seasoned in that when it comes to music, because it's a very personal art form, especially for me. But I learned how to do that, and yeah, like I really gained that from Music City. What else? Being supportive, because like everyone, I mean, not everyone's doing music in Nashville, but if you immerse yourself in music in Nashville, it's kind of inspiring. Like if you would go out to a writer's round, there's going to be other writers there and you get to hear other people's art. And it's also kind of a perspective that it's just someone else's perspective. And it's amazing how people can portray different things like that. So that was another thing I learned was being able to support. So getting out of my comfort zone, I guess, like just being more willing to share music, because I tend to be reserved, or like I guess scared, like, oh, what if people don't like it, you know? But in the end, it's all about you. It's all about whether you love your art. So yeah. I guess those are the big things that I learned. I learned a bit of business there too, I guess, but honestly, like I'm awful at the business part. I think I'm relatively okay with the business part, because I guess I went to school and studied it. But for me, like as an artist, the most important thing is just like getting the art out there. Contracts scare me. But I have to read it. I have to read it because I don't want to get into trouble, you know?
Yeah.
So, and lawyers are expensive. So.
Fair enough. Yes. Now, I guess, once this is all over, I guess, have you reset your long or short-term ambitions in music?
They're kind of the same, but I guess the good thing to say that I didn't think I'd be able to say next summer is that a lot of some ambitions that I thought I would reach maybe like next year or within 5 years, I've already like met it, which is crazy to me because I like last summer I came out to LA to do an internship, a producing internship with Sync Music. And so I made a list of goals, and a lot of like my goals that were like within 5 years, because I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this in a year. Who knows? I might just crash and burn. Some of those things I actually achieved within like 6 months, which is like super crazy. So short-term goals, I think I'm really working on it right now. I have a bunch of like releases. I'm to the point where it's not just me that's pushing my own music out, whereas I'm still pushing my music out, but I actually have help. I think that's really cool because that would get me to the ultimate goal of like growing my audience and being able to have, that leverage to be able to tour, and just getting the message heard more, which would be really cool. So long term, if we're talking long term, if I become successful in music, I'd love to branch out into the movie industry and maybe do like sound for picture or more cinematic type of things. So that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned about in your first answer to my question about, I guess, in regards to for your inspiration for music is to go down to the beach down there in LA, which is beautiful beaches down in Los Angeles. I've been in myself when I was over there in beautiful sunny California. Is there a particular beach that you go to a lot and it sort of inspires you to write music?
There is one that I go to a lot, mostly because parking is easy. Like that's the only reason why.
Yes, yeah, great, yeah,
but not just the parking, but like I think it's not too crowded because Santa Monica is way too crowded. I do go there sometimes just to walk on the pier because I don't know, like passive people watching, I don't know if that's a thing. Doing that while listening to music also inspires me. just being my own, like, just I don't know, just kind of being where all the people are, like. I don't know. So I'll like go to the end of the pier. Sometimes I'll listen to mixes in my headphones while I'm at the end of the pier. But I usually go to Pacific Palisades because it's not as crowded and you can see the sunset. The sunset's over the water. Whereas if you go to Malibu, the sunset's, I think, behind some land or like some mountains. But if you go to the Palisades, sometimes you can get this gorgeous like orange like sunset glow, and then the waves just kind of turn into a periwinkle blue, sort of like, and like gold infused like
Yeah.
color, like hue, like it's so beautiful. I actually wrote my song that I have with Heavy. He's a producer from Turkey. I wrote 16th Summer there because, I mean, how 16th Summer nostalgic can you get unless you're at a beach at sunset? Like, come on. So I write there a lot. I like, especially with I guess, description, like vivid description, imagery, and things like that. It really helps to have beautiful scenery. So, yeah.
Now, of course, I have to ask, and I ask this to all my, I guess, American artists who are over there at the moment, and I have to ask that. Of course, you do have fans down here in Australia, and we get messages about it all the time, which is they're dying to know, are you thinking about performing down here in Australia?
Oh my God, what kind of question is that? I mean, yeah, eventually, like, come on, going to Australia has been on my bucket list. I am an avid traveler. I've been to Europe a couple of times and like Asia, but Australia, like, I want to go there so bad. I know the plane ride is like awful. I think it's a little okay, like from LA, I think. I'm not sure. But I mean, I just think it's amazing. I've never been anywhere in the Southern Hemisphere in general. So why not go to Australia? So 1,000% yes. Like,
Well, there you go. That's good news for our for your Australian fans, because now obviously you mentioned about how you got involved in music. So my follow-up question is, what does the music scene mean to you now?
the music scene means to me now. Well, right now, at this very moment, well, I don't know, as you know, maybe today is Blackout Tuesday, where the whole music industry is kind of taking a pause from music, all things entertainment, and just kind of focusing on the dilemma here that we're having in the States. So I guess to answer the question is like, it's one of the largest forms of communication that we have, a way to bring awareness to anything that's going on in the world. The industry itself, it's super complex because it also depends on what part of the industry you're talking about. I feel like, not a double-edged sword, but it's kind of like two-faceted. Like, you have this industry that can relay a message so quickly, and so, because it's vast, it's international, but then there's also like parts of the industry that can be kind of like dark. It's kind of like a city where you have like the pretty polished like buildings and the nice things that like tourists come for, and then like the dark alleyways that you don't go to, you know? So it kind of depends. But overall, for me, it's kind of like a lifeline, because music is what I want to do. It's how I feel like where my purpose in life lies, is through that connection, through that inspiration that an artist can relay out to the world. So yeah, it's kind of like the heartbeat, I guess, and like all the blood vessels, like so that's what it means.
Now, obviously, is there a particular artist that inspires you?
I have a ton, but I feel like right now, in different ways, I have or like different artists who inspire me. So as far as songwriting, and I guess the emotion, I really look up to Lana Del Rey a lot, because her songwriting is just, it's different. And she kind of stems from a background of studying philosophy, as well as like being into a lot of literature, and things like that. I feel like I kind of resonate in that same way. But her songwriting is just kind of like on another level that you don't hear in a lot of other artists. It's just very unique. And her sound as well is also unique, and it evokes that type of emotion of nostalgia, or like old Hollywood and things like that. And I feel like I pull inspiration from that as well. I actually have a poster of her just kind of in front of my little home studio. So, but as far as like performance / like production, I look up to Elohim a lot. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she is like a one-woman show type of deal where she has this whole setup and she plays a lot of electronic music, but she has kind of programmed her setup to go with her performances, and it's just crazy, and I want to be able to do that. I've only done one show where I've had a full setup, and yeah, just one show. So I can't wait to like work on that again. It's stressful, but it's a lot of fun. But as far as like production, I look up to Jack Antonoff a lot because he's just kind of a crazy producer that has worked on a ton of songs that we don't, like some people don't know that he's worked on. As well as like, you know, like he's worked on Lord's album, he's worked on a couple Lana Del Rey songs, some Taylor Swift songs, as well as his solo like project like Bleachers. I love that. I love the sound of it, and just the fact that he is just a single person who can kind of, what's the word, like just do different genres and be just I guess flexible in that way. I want to be able to do that too, because I guess another goal of mine, kind of going back to that, is not just being an artist and like producing my own stuff, but I think it'd be cool to also produce for other artists and people not know like, oh, this artist produced that song for that artist, that's cool. Like so that's inspiring to me too. So I guess that's the main three. There's a couple more, but as of now, like those are like the big three that I kind of have been pulling a lot of inspiration from. So
now, what will be your advice to our listeners or viewers out there that should get involved in music?
My advice is to keep doing it. Like the ultimate thing to tell someone who's also pursuing music is to never give up. Because everyone, and not even just in like the path of music, this is like in any career path that someone chooses, but everyone has a different journey, whether it's a shorter journey, a longer journey, and every like hurdle in between. Like everyone's experience is going to be different. And it's not a question of whether you are or are not going to reach that end goal, whatever it is. As long as you keep working towards it, it's going to happen. Like it's all about the passion. It like not even necessarily, you know, if one person is more talented than the other. In the end, it's whoever is more passionate and, you know, is willing to put their all into it. Their dreams are, it's going to come true. So that's my ultimate advice, is to never give up, no matter how long it takes. Like I technically have been pursuing a career in music since I was maybe 10 or 9, to where I said, this is what I want to do. So yeah, don't give up. Keep an open mind. Always be willing to learn. Yeah, that's what I'd say. Never give up.
Now, 2 final ones before I let you go, which is when you perform, was there any point that you just thought, I've actually forgot the words to a song?
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. If I had $1 for every time I did that, I don't even know. So like I used to do, well, okay, I guess that doesn't count. I used to do talent shows. I guess that doesn't count because it's not my own song. But especially with playing and like singing, like maybe from the outside I looked okay, but on the inside it was constant worry, like, oh my God, what's the next chord? Do I remember the second verse? And like I'm just like sweating. No one knows what I'm going through. But when it comes to like, oh my gosh, songwriter nights in Nashville, I think I was singing, what was I can't remember what I was singing, but this is just kind of like my go-to anytime I mess up. I keep playing the chords, like whatever I do remember, whether it's the chords or the lyrics, I keep that going, and then I improvise on the part that I forget. So like, say I'm playing the ukulele and I forget the words to a song, I keep playing the chords and then I just kind of sing random words in the melody. So like I think this one time I was singing and I forgot the part to the song, and then like it just kind of picked up to where I remember the lyrics. That's kind of what I do, because like I did theater for like 13 or some years, and like you're programmed to, the show must go on, whether you mess up you need to improvise if you don't remember what you're supposed to do. So that's kind of what I do in music. When it's kind of funny. And also, I think it's also a healthy mindset to have, you know, because like it's fun, and it's like you don't beat yourself up about like forgetting something. When I played my first live set, I was like making up the set list in my head, like replacing songs with other songs, because I'm like, I think I know this song better. And then just kind of like trying to remember the words, or like, well, I think it was mostly remembering the chords, because I was also like playing and programming at the same time, like all live. So I think that's kind of what got to me the most. But yeah, like I feel like every artist can say that they forgot. It's kind of like your ticket into like, okay, like you're a performer now, like once you forget like lyrics, I don't know. It happens. Straight up.
And of course, I've got to finish up with this one last one, which is for our listeners out there who are not fans of yours just yet, but obviously love to be your fans and want to follow you on social media and your music channel. How can I go about it?
I am on Instagram. That's probably where I am the most active. So yeah, Instagram is Artemis Orion. And I post a lot on my story. I always post links, share things on there. I'm also on YouTube. I definitely want to become more active on there. I love making music videos, and definitely a goal of mine after this pandemic is like completely over, is to shoot more music videos, edit, and like release them, because I'm also very much into visual art, and things like that. So YouTube would be awesome. And I also have a Twitter and a Facebook. I don't use them as often, but you know, that might change. Might change.
Yeah. And of course, I have to finish off with this one last one. We mentioned about forgetting words to a song. Is there any embarrassing moments that you've had performing other than forgetting the words?
Definitely there is. I'm just trying to figure out which. Oh my gosh. Okay. Actually, this was kind of a long time ago. I remember at a talent show, I performed. So like at talent shows, there would be two different performances. There would be a night performance where it was the actual competition, and then the next day to where you would perform during school for like the entire school. I'm pretty sure that I performed my song like right as I got on stage. My guitar, like one of my strings got untuned. So like the guitar sounded awful the whole time, and I didn't know what was going on, but I just kept singing. And the teacher that was like behind the curtain was like, because we thought it was the amp. So it was like me singing and just like, what's going on? And then the teacher's like, I don't know. And she just ends up turning off the amp. And so the rest of the song was just my voice. So it's it's okay. I think I was like, I don't know how old I was, maybe like 14. No, not 14. I was like 13 or something. I was young, but that happened. Geez. Yeah. I wish I could think of one that was like more recent. I mean, I feel like the most recent one was at an open mic, and I was covering Blank Space by Taylor Swift, and I forgot the lyrics, and I was just like singing. I forgot the lyrics to the song. It was as if it was like a parody. So I got a couple laughs out of that one, so that's good.
I love it. And thank you so much for joining us. It's awesome having you on the show. Hopefully we get the chance to meet you in person when we're over in the States, or maybe when you come over to Melbourne, in particular here in Australia. And hopefully once this is all over, we can get to see you performing on the music scene very soon.
Yes, me too. It was a pleasure being on here. I love talking because I can't do that a lot during a pandemic, you know?
That's Artemis there, of course, from Los Angeles, California. Of course, you can follow her, as she mentioned, on Instagram, which will promote that on our social media in the next couple of days. There's more on the Smash Evening Show right after this. Don't go away here on the Wednesday Dish.